Have you ever left a conversation feeling inexplicably drained, or found yourself constantly dreading interactions with a particular person at work or even in your social circle? If so, you're not alone. The impact of toxic individuals can seep deeply into our lives, often without us even realizing the full extent until we're overwhelmed by anxiety or emotional exhaustion. Take the story of a close friend of mine, a highly skilled designer who thrived in collaborative environments. But something changed when his team got a new manager. The signs were initially subtle, but became unmistakably clear over time. He started to dread meetings that he once looked forward to, his creative spark dimmed, and slowly his vibrant enthusiasm was replaced by a quiet resignation. This wasn't just a bad week or a tough project, it was a systematic breakdown of his professional confidence. Instigated by one toxic individual wielding destructive criticism and manipulation as tools of control. In this video, we'll explore the 7 crucial signs of toxic people and how to protect yourself from their harmful impacts. We'll dive deep into practical Stoic strategies that can empower you to maintain your inner peace and reclaim your mental space. Stay tuned as we unfold these transformative insights, and don't forget to like and subscribe to Stoic Narratives Official for more content that helps you navigate life's challenges with wisdom and resilience. 1. How toxic people affect your mental health. In our lives, interactions with others profoundly shape our mental state. But when these interactions turn toxic, they can unravel our well-being. A key sign of such toxicity is persistent exposure to individuals who drain your emotional energy, leading to anxiety, stress, and a significant drop in self-confidence. Consider the story of a close friend of mine, a seasoned professional in the tech industry. This friend, a linchpin in his company, started experiencing a noticeable decline in his mental health. It wasn't due to the usual suspects like workload or personal issues, but stemmed from a more insidious source: a new team leader. This leader, while outwardly charismatic, had a knack for subtly undermining my friend's efforts and ideas. He would often dismiss his proposals with a smirk or offhand comments that seemed harmless to others but were pointed and diminishing. As weeks turned into months, my friend began to dread interactions with this leader. He reported feeling a heavy sense of dread every morning before work, a feeling that lingered and affected his interactions at home and his ability to unwind. His once buoyant spirit began to wane, and his productivity plummeted. This wasn't just workplace stress. This was emotional and mental sabotage manifesting in real time. Upon recognizing these signs, my friend started to apply Stoic principles to regain control. He realized that while he couldn't change his leader's behavior, he could change his response to it. Drawing from Marcus Aurelius's wisdom, he understood that you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. This perspective shift was transformative. He began practicing mindfulness to detach his emotions from the negativity he faced at work, focusing instead on what he could control: his work and his reactions. Actionable steps for you. Facing similar situations: identify toxic traits. Learn to recognize behaviors in others that consistently make you feel diminished or drained. Awareness is the first step toward change. Emotional detachment. Practice Stoic mindfulness by detaching your emotional well-being from the actions of toxic individuals. Focus on maintaining inner peace despite external chaos. Assertive communication. When possible, communicate your feelings and set boundaries. Sometimes, a clear expression of how certain behaviors affect you can initiate a change in dynamics. Seek support. Do not isolate yourself. Discussing these issues with trusted colleagues, friends, or a mentor can provide new coping strategies and reinforce that you are not alone in this experience. For those who find themselves grappling with the impact of toxic people, remember that the essence of Stoicism lies in focusing on what we can control: our responses, our emotions, and our actions. By adopting a Stoic approach to dealing with toxic individuals, you empower yourself to maintain your mental health and well-being, regardless of the challenges you face externally. This approach not only preserves your peace of mind, but also enables you to navigate your professional and personal life with resilience and wisdom. It transforms potential vulnerabilities into strengths, ensuring that your interactions, even with toxic individuals, are handled with poise and perspective. Remember, true strength comes from within, and by harnessing your inner Stoic, you can face even the most challenging interactions without losing your balance. 2. When someone just doesn't feel right. One of the most insidious forms of toxicity is not overt aggression, but rather the subtle, often unnoticed emotional drain it places on individuals. It's a telltale sign when you feel a persistent sense of discomfort or tension around specific people, which can erode your peace and disrupt your emotional balance. Consider the experience of a former colleague of mine in our shared workspace. He often interacted with another team member who appeared friendly at first glance. However, there was an undercurrent of unease in every interaction. My colleague, let's call him the person, noticed how his energy levels would plummet after their conversations, and a vague sense of anxiety would linger long afterward. At first, he dismissed these feelings as mere personal clashes or bad days at work. But as time passed, he realized that his reactions were symptoms of a deeper issue. This other team member had a knack for subtly belittling remarks and passive-aggressive comments. While seemingly harmless, these were significant enough to negatively impact his emotional well-being. This scenario exemplifies emotional toxicity, manifesting through subtle cues that are often dismissed until they accumulate significant psychological tolls. The key signs were not explicit actions, but rather the emotional aftermath. Persistent unease and drained energy that pointed to an unhealthy dynamic. Drawing upon Stoic wisdom, specifically the teachings of Marcus Aurelius, my colleague learned that external circumstances should not disturb his inner tranquility. He realized that his peace was disrupted not by the actual interactions, but by his perception of and reaction to them. Understanding this, he began to apply Stoic principles, focusing on maintaining his composure and not allowing another's negativity to penetrate his emotional armor. For those facing similar subtle emotional drains, acknowledging your feelings is crucial. Recognize that your discomfort is legitimate and deserves attention. Practice emotional detachment by visualizing a shield around your emotional well-being that these subtle toxins cannot penetrate. Use Stoic techniques to reframe how you perceive interactions. Instead of viewing them as personal attacks, see them as opportunities to strengthen your emotional resilience. Limit your interactions with individuals who drain your energy. When avoidance is impossible, prepare mentally for interactions and schedule time to decompress afterward. Remember, Stoicism offers powerful tools for maintaining your emotional equilibrium. By understanding and addressing these interactions proactively, you can protect your mental health and sustain your inner peace. Stoicism teaches us not just to endure, but to thrive by transforming our responses to external challenges into opportunities for personal growth and emotional fortitude. This approach not only helps in coping with toxic relationships, but also enriches your overall emotional intelligence, making you better equipped to handle all kinds of interpersonal dynamics in the future. Remember, your emotional health is paramount, and nurturing it with Stoic resilience can lead to a more balanced and fulfilling life. 3. Finding joy in others' struggles. In navigating the complexities of human relationships, encountering individuals who derive pleasure from the misfortunes of others can be deeply disheartening. This unsettling trait, known as schadenfreude, often lurks beneath a facade of concern or neutrality, marking a significant red flag in identifying toxic personalities. Consider the relationship I had with a former friend, someone from my college days. Over the years, I noticed a disturbing pattern in his reactions to the setbacks experienced by others within our circle. Whether professional mishaps or personal misfortunes, he displayed a subtle yet unmistakable sense of pleasure. His comments, though cloaked in sympathy, often betrayed a tone of satisfaction, especially when he discussed the difficulties others faced. Initially, I wrote off his reactions as a quirky, albeit cynical sense of humor. However, as these instances accumulated, the reality became undeniable. This wasn't just about off-color jokes, it was a consistent display of a lack of genuine empathy. The full impact of his demeanor hit me during one of my challenging times. Expecting support, I instead received responses tinged with veiled delight, a painful revelation from someone I had considered a close friend. This behavior exemplifies a deeper emotional disconnection, a stark indication of a toxic individual. Such people often lack empathy, an essential component of supportive and healthy relationships, and their presence can lead to a damaging and distrustful environment. Drawing on Stoic wisdom, particularly the teachings of Marcus Aurelius, we learn to distance ourselves from those who exhibit harmful traits that could corrupt our character. In managing relationships with such individuals, the Stoic approach involves recognizing these toxic traits, understanding their emotional and psychological impact, and strategically distancing ourselves to preserve our inner peace. For those facing similar situations, here are some actionable steps. Acknowledge the toxicity. It's crucial to recognize the harmful traits in others, particularly those who find pleasure in discomfort or failure. Maintain emotional distance. Rather than attempting to change such individuals, it's wiser to maintain a healthy emotional distance. This helps prevent their negativity from affecting your mental well-being. Cultivate your empathy. Deepen your connections with people who uplift and support you. Continuously nurturing your capacity for empathy reinforces positive interpersonal dynamics. Seek supportive environments. Surround yourself with environments and individuals that promote mutual respect and empathy. These settings enhance your emotional health and contribute to a constructive social circle. Encountering a lack of empathy, especially from those we consider friends or colleagues, presents a significant challenge. By applying Stoic principles, however, we can shield ourselves from the negative impacts of such behaviors and focus on cultivating relationships that are genuinely supportive and enriching. Protecting your emotional health involves selective trust and careful sharing of personal vulnerabilities, ensuring you foster a community that values and practices genuine concern and support. 4. Dealing with deceitful friends. In the journey of cultivating authentic relationships, one of the most jarring discoveries is when someone close to you habitually lies and crafts false personas. This form of toxicity, characterized by chronic dishonesty, not only erodes trust, but also distorts the very fabric of reality within those relationships. Consider someone I was once close to, a person who appeared charismatic and genuinely interested in deepening our friendship. Over time, however, I began to notice inconsistencies in her stories. Initially, these discrepancies seemed minor, a forgotten detail or a slight exaggeration. But as our interactions continued, the stakes of her stories grew, and so did the gaps in her narrative. A defining moment came with an incident involving a mutual acquaintance. She recounted a story where she was wronged in a business deal, painted with drama and bitterness. However, upon independently speaking with the accused party and others involved, it became evident that her portrayal of events was not only exaggerated, but largely fabricated. This was a stark revelation, highlighting a pattern of manipulation and deceit that I could no longer overlook. Habitual lying often begins subtly, but can escalate into a pervasive aspect of a person's behavior, creating an environment where truth becomes a casualty and relationships are built on unstable, shifting sands. The key signs to watch for include consistent discrepancies in stories, unverified or fantastical claims that seem designed to elevate the individual's status or victimhood, and a general lack of transparency that keeps you guessing about what's real. Drawing upon Stoic wisdom, particularly the teachings of Epictetus, we learn that our tranquility should not be disturbed by the misdeeds of others, but rather viewed as opportunities for personal growth. Dealing with deceptive individuals requires maintaining emotional detachment and focusing on preserving one's integrity and honesty. For those facing similar situations, here are actionable steps to consider. Practice skepticism. Approach stories and claims from such individuals with a healthy degree of skepticism. Always verify facts before accepting them as truth. Set boundaries. Communicate your expectations for honesty and transparency clearly in your relationships. When these expectations are not met, set boundaries to protect your emotional well-being. Focus on personal integrity. In the face of deceit, concentrate on maintaining your own integrity. Stoicism teaches us that our character is determined not by what others do, but by how we respond to them. Decide when to walk away. Recognize when a relationship is too detrimental to persist. Sometimes the most stoic action is to remove oneself from toxic dynamics to preserve one's peace and mental health. Navigating relationships with habitual liars requires vigilance, emotional intelligence, and a strong adherence to Stoic principles. By understanding the signs and implementing strategies to manage these relationships wisely, you can protect your mental well-being and cultivate a circle of trust that is based on authenticity and mutual respect. Remember, the ultimate goal in Stoicism is not to change others, but to fortify ourselves so that no level of deceit can disturb our inner tranquility. 5. The manipulative leader. In any professional environment, encountering a manipulative leader who relentlessly seeks to control every outcome can profoundly affect both the workplace atmosphere and personal well-being. A clear sign of such toxicity is the leader's overwhelming need to oversee all aspects of work, often at the expense of the team's autonomy and creativity. Reflecting on my experience under a former boss brings this issue sharply into focus. This individual, whom I'll refer to simply as the person, demonstrated an intense desire to micromanage every project detail. Initially, it appeared as though this was rigorous management, but it soon became clear that his actions were more about maintaining control than enhancing quality or efficiency. The person often changed project directions without any discussion, dismissed inputs from team members, and insisted that all decisions pass through him. This stifling approach not only suppressed creativity, but also instilled a pervasive sense of helplessness among the team. As team members felt increasingly undervalued and ignored, the work environment became toxic and filled with stress and frustration. This type of leadership is a classic example of a toxic leader who prioritizes personal control over team success and individual well-being. Such leaders often exhibit deep-seated insecurity, manifesting as an overwhelming need to dominate, driven by fears that without total control, they might lose their authority or the project might not meet their exacting standards. Drawing from Stoic philosophy, particularly the teachings of Epictetus, we learn that focusing on what we can control, our actions and reactions, is essential. When dealing with a manipulative leader, recognizing that you cannot change their behavior but can change your response to it is vital. For those struggling with similar leadership challenges, recognize the signs of manipulation. Stay vigilant to behaviors that signal manipulative leadership, such as unnecessary secrecy, arbitrary decision-making, and a general disregard for team input. Maintain professional boundaries. Clearly articulate your work process preferences and how you wish to be managed. Communicate these boundaries respectfully yet assertively to establish a professional framework that respects your contributions. Focus on your response. Cultivate a professional demeanor that prioritizes integrity. You may not have control over your boss's actions, but you can control the quality of your work and your interactions within the workplace. Seek support. If the situation deteriorates or becomes unbearable, consider discussing it with HR or a trusted advisor within the company. External intervention is sometimes necessary to address significant issues of control and manipulation effectively. Navigating the complexities posed by a controlling leader requires a mix of Stoic wisdom and proactive strategy. By recognizing the signs and employing practical measures to manage these interactions, you can maintain your professional composure and continue to perform effectively. Remember, the ultimate goal is not to confront or change the manipulative individual, but to manage your professional environment in a way that preserves your mental health and aligns with your core values. This approach helps mitigate the adverse effects of controlling leadership and empowers you to maintain your professional standards and thrive in your career, irrespective of external pressures. By fostering resilience and focusing on what you can control, you embody the Stoic ideal, making you better equipped to handle challenges in the modern workplace. 6. The blame game. In the realm of professional relationships, one of the most disruptive behaviors one can encounter is the tendency of some individuals to shift blame and shirk responsibility. This sign of a toxic personality not only hampers teamwork, but also undermines the core values of accountability and transparency essential in any successful organization. Reflect on a scenario involving a former colleague of my wife, someone who I came to know through various company events and stories shared at home. This person, a mid-level manager, had a reputation for never taking responsibility for his errors. Instead, he had an uncanny ability to deflect blame onto others, regardless of the situation. During a critical project, several issues arose that jeopardized the deadline and quality of the work. When the team convened to discuss the matter, it became apparent that many of these issues stemmed from this manager's poor planning and lack of clear communication. However, instead of acknowledging his oversights, he immediately pointed fingers at his team members, accusing them of not following instructions and failing to meet expectations. This behavior created a toxic atmosphere within the team. Trust eroded, and morale plummeted as team members felt unfairly criticized and undervalued. Witnessing the fallout, my wife shared how these interactions led to significant stress and dissatisfaction among her colleagues, affecting their overall productivity and well-being. The signs of a blame shifter are clear. They consistently avoid accountability, blame others for their mistakes, and rarely, if ever, admit fault. Such individuals not only fail to learn from their mistakes, but also prevent their teams from growing and improving by not addressing the root causes of problems. From a Stoic perspective, Marcus Aurelius emphasized the importance of owning one's actions and learning from mistakes as a path to personal and professional growth. To deal with blame shifters effectively, document everything. Keep detailed records of your work and communications. This helps protect yourself and your team from undue blame and provides a clear basis for discussions about responsibilities. Promote open communication. Encourage a culture of openness and constructive feedback within the team. This can help mitigate the impact of blame shifting by fostering an environment where issues are addressed directly and collaboratively. Address issues directly. If you face blame-shifting behavior, address it directly with the individual in a professional manner. Outline the facts calmly and provide evidence if necessary to clarify misunderstandings. Seek higher intervention. When direct efforts fail, it may be necessary to involve higher management or HR to resolve the issue, especially if it affects team performance and morale. Navigating the challenges posed by a blame shifter requires a mix of stoic calm and proactive strategy. By understanding the signs and employing effective tactics to manage these interactions, you can protect your professional integrity and promote a healthier, more accountable workplace environment. Remember, the goal is not merely to confront, but to foster an environment where accountability is valued and practiced. This approach not only mitigates the negative impacts of toxic behaviors, but also enhances the overall resilience and effectiveness of the team. By embodying Stoic principles, you empower yourself and your colleagues to thrive despite the challenges posed by difficult personalities in the workplace. 7. Criticism disguised as jokes. In navigating family relationships, the subtle belittling and criticism that often masquerade as humor can be particularly corrosive. This form of toxicity, which can come from those closest to us, gradually undermines self-esteem and fosters an environment of chronic disrespect. Reflecting on interactions with a relative of mine, an aunt provides a vivid illustration of this issue. Known in our family for her sharp wit, my aunt frequently used humor as her communication medium. Initially, her remarks seemed benign and playful even, as she often cloaked them in humor at family gatherings. However, over time, I began to notice a pattern. Her jokes often contained barbs aimed directly at me, and her laughter, rather than inviting, felt mocking. During one family dinner, she made a joke about my recent career switch, suggesting, laughingly, that I was always indecisive and probably would switch again before the year was out. Her words, though veiled as humor, carried a stinging critique of my life choices. Initially, I laughed along, dismissing the discomfort I felt. But as such incidents accumulated, I realized these were not mere jokes, but pointed criticisms delivered under the guise of familial teasing. This behavior is indicative of a contemptuous personality, a toxic trait characterized by frequent criticism disguised as jokes or honest feedback. Such individuals often use humor as a tool to express their disapproval and to belittle others subtly. From a Stoic perspective, Marcus Aurelius teaches us that our reaction to external events, including the negative remarks of others, defines our mental well-being. In dealing with a contemptuous relative, it is essential to recognize the harmful impact of their words and to detach emotionally from the need for their approval. For those facing similar situations, here are actionable steps. Recognize the patterns. Pay attention to repeated patterns of behavior where humor is used to disguise criticism. Acknowledging this can help you understand the dynamics at play and prepare mentally for interactions. Set emotional boundaries. Establish clear emotional boundaries with yourself about what comments you will respond to and how. Deciding internally not to let such remarks affect you is a critical step in maintaining your peace. Address the behavior. In some cases, it might be helpful to address the behavior directly. This could involve explaining to the individual how their words affect you, ideally at a moment separate from when the comments are made. Seek support. Discuss the situation with trusted family members or friends who understand the family dynamics. They can offer support, alternative perspectives, or even intervene if necessary. Navigating the complexities posed by a family member with a contemptuous personality requires a blend of Stoic wisdom and practical action. By understanding the signs and employing effective strategies to manage these interactions, you can protect your emotional well-being and maintain your self-respect. Remember, the Stoic goal is not to change others, but to fortify ourselves so that we can handle whatever challenges come our way with grace and resilience. This approach not only mitigates the negative impact of toxic family dynamics, but also empowers you to maintain your dignity and thrive in spite of the challenges posed by difficult personalities within your family circle. By fostering resilience and focusing on what you can control, your reactions and your boundaries, you live true to the Stoic ideals in the face of adversity. As we conclude our exploration of the signs of toxic individuals and the profound lessons Stoicism provides, let's reflect on the crucial insights and practical strategies we've discussed. From recognizing the subtle undercurrents of emotional manipulation to standing firm against overt criticism and deceit, each narrative shared today serves as a reminder of our capacity to cultivate inner peace and resilience. Stoicism teaches us that the key to personal tranquility lies not in changing the external world or the behavior of others, but in mastering our own reactions and emotions. By identifying toxic traits and employing Stoic wisdom, we can shield ourselves from negativity and maintain our mental well-being. Each story we've delved into illustrates the power of awareness, the importance of emotional boundaries, and the transformative potential of a Stoic response. I encourage you, our viewers, to not only absorb these lessons, but to practice them daily. Whether it's setting clear boundaries, practicing emotional detachment, or confronting issues with calm and clarity, these tools are not just philosophical ideals. They are practical actions that can lead to real positive changes in your life. Please take a moment to like and subscribe to Stoic Narratives Official if you found this content valuable. Share your stories in the comments below. Let us know how Stoic principles have helped you navigate challenges or how you plan to implement today's lessons in your daily life. Your experiences not only enrich our community, but also inspire others to embrace the Stoic path toward personal growth and emotional resilience. Together, let's continue this journey of self-discovery and improvement, fostering a community where support and wisdom lead to a life of contentment and strength. Remember, every day offers a new opportunity to practice these teachings and turn knowledge into action.